Hey kid, here, take this little blue pill. No, that doesn't mean you'll wake up in your bed with no recollection of the illusion that composes our reality, and no, I'm not talking about that other little blue pill for men either, but hey, maybe there's a sponsorship opportunity there. My email box is always open. I am not above it. I was a proud Manscaped sponsor for 4 years. I am talking about the Team Yamaha Blue Pill, my guy. Dare I say that Yamaha is the best of the big four? Oof, controversial opinion. True, they don't have any supercharged motorcycles in their roster like the crazy Kyles over at Kawasaki, but their motorcycles are just objectively so good across every category. I'm getting just thinking about it. And my editor had to bleep all of that out because I am a degenerate. Plus, I myself started riding on an R3, and the Yami Noob name even bears homage to Team Blue. No, it's not related to sweet potatoes, as many of you think. So today, let's take a trip to the dark side of Japan and see which motorcycles from Yamaha are worth your hard-earned dollars. Today's video is sponsored by our longtime supporters at Rockform. I will be sure to tell you more about them later in the video. Without further ado, let's get into it. We're just gonna take this band-aid off. The first motorcycle we have to talk about today is the Yamaha R6. The R6 is a true modern classic motorcycle, no longer in production as a street legal model. The R6 represents a forgotten time, an era where so many motorcyclists prioritize low-end torque and accessible power. The R6 is an artifact of a primitive culture. Y2K alpha males considered it a beginner bike and would go right from the MSF to the Yamaha dealership before promptly yeeting themselves into infinity cargo shorts flapping in the wind behind them. The R6 has turned many baby squids into squid men with a single redline pole. The R6 was first unveiled in 1999 as a sibling to the larger R1 with a focus on sharp handling and track racing capabilities. Its inline-4 engine was tuned for high revs and delivered exhilarating top-end power in a compact package. The early 2000s saw the R6 solidify its reputation on the racetrack. It became a dominant force in Supersport championships, showcasing Yamaha's commitment to pushing the boundaries of what a middleweight sport bike could achieve. The R6's track success not only boosted its popularity, but also demonstrated its engineering excellence. Over the years, Yamaha continued to refine the R6, introducing updates that improved performance, handling, and technology. Each new generation brought advancements that kept the R6 at the forefront of the sport bike market. Innovations like ride-by-wire throttles, advanced traction control systems, and sophisticated suspension components were integrated into the R6, enhancing both its on-track prowess and its appeal to riders who demanded the latest advancements. You can't buy a brand new R6 from dealerships anymore, and that sentence makes me very, very sad. But there are plenty floating around being sold at exorbitantly high prices by track day junkies and super sport enthusiasts. Or you could win ours. We have a 2008 Yamaha R6 that will be given away in a few short weeks. If you'd like to get entered to win, go to yaminoob.co to become a member or buy anything from the store where every dollar spent will be an entry to win. So I'd say the Yamaha R6 is definitely worth it. And which generation? You already know, 2008 to 2016. That's the best one. We all know it. While on the subject of sport bikes, I guess there is no better time to mention the Yamaha R1. If there was ever a leader bike I'd recommend a beginner start on, it would be the R1, because you're gonna go out in a blaze of glory. You might as well have that beautiful cross-plane soundtrack to be the last thing you ever hear before your untimely demise. Don't start at an R1. Or do. I don't care, do whatever you want. I'm not your dad. Or am I? Am I your dad? This, of course, is a joke. I don't need the two-wheel do-gooders getting all enraged in their ergonomic gaming chairs at home. Listen, guys, from its earliest days, the R1 demonstrated its racing pedigree. It became a force to be reckoned with both on-road and on-track, winning the hearts of riders who crave the thrill of speed and the precision of a finely tuned machine. Its achievements in superbike championships and endurance races solidified its reputation as a dominant force in the motorcycling world. As the years passed, Yamaha continued to refine the R1, introducing evolutionary updates that elevated its performance to new heights. The R1 was quick to adopt cutting-edge technology, including advanced electronics, sophisticated suspension systems, and aerodynamic enhancements that pushed the boundaries of what a production superbike could achieve. Still being produced by Yamaha, the R1 uses a 998cc cross-plane inline four-cylinder derived from their MotoGP race bike. I've explained the merits of the cross-plane engine design before, but the short answer is it makes more power across the rev range and sounds so good due to the uneven firing order. The R1 currently makes 198 horsepower and 83 foot-pounds torque. Being a bike built for professional racers, the R1 features plenty of tech features to help keep the civilian rider shiny side up. It has a 6-axis IMU that controls the engine braking, slide control, yeet control, and dank nooner control. The R1 just cost shy of 18 grand, which I always felt was really a bargain for how much motorcycle you get. But if you're an oil baron or a tech billionaire and you want to step up your GP cosplay a notch, there is also the R1M, which provides you dynamic electronics Olin suspension and enough carbon fiber to ensure you're the prettiest princess at bike night. The R1M has a more engorged price tag at $27,000. The R1 is certainly worth it in my opinion. Think back to Ben Spies in 2009, conquering World Superbike on his rookie year in an R1, the first year the cross-plane design came out. Think of the 2015 Plus R1 with the squinty eyes that still looks so good today. That design is 8 years old, folks, and it still looks amazing. The R1 is definitely worth it. But listen, do you know what costs an arm and a leg these days? Cell phone. What does a new cell phone cost? Like $5,000? What's the price of a banana, Michael? $6? For that price, you might as well just buy 5 Chinese pit bikes. But alas, unless you live the modest life of a Mennonite, you need a cell phone to exist in the modern world. So you better make sure you protect your investment while on your motorcycle. Old biker dudes used wallet chains to prevent using their wallets, but it's 2023. You think you need to use medieval technology to keep track of your belongings like your cell phone? Get yourself a Rockform handlebar mount. A Rockform mount paired with a Rockform phone case is the best solution for the modern day motorcyclist. Their cases have super strong magnets so you can stick your phone on your toolbox while wrenching or on the fridge while making a little snack. I'm not sure if I'm supposed to tell you this, but I've seen guys even keep their phone magnetized to the gas tank while riding. I wouldn't recommend it though. They are also drop tested to military standards and offer 360 degrees of protection. I've literally yeeted my phone across the room, totally fine. The Rockform system is sleek, stylish, functional, and convenient. We've got mounts on all the bikes in the shop and you should get one too. It really is that simple. If you use the code YN25, you'll receive 25% off of your order. Go to rockform.com and use the code YN25 at checkout for 25% off. Thanks, Rockform. Now back to the video. You can't talk about incredibly value-driven motorcycles without mentioning the Yamaha MT-07. Up until everyone started copying Yamaha's homework in recent years, the MT-07 was the gold standard for squids on a budget. For a while, despite feeling like many components were ordered off Wish.com, the MT-07 provided many smiles for miles. It was cheap and lightweight, had a fun, torquey engine, and a short wheelbase, which made it perfect for busting wheelies. Due to its incredibly accessible price tag, the confident beginner could justify purchasing one despite the fact that they might be forced to take an involuntary nap a time or two while figuring out balance point. Since the most recent Dark Side of Japan update a few years ago, the MT-07 has a bit more of a premium feel to compete in the increasingly competitive middleweight naked market. At the heart of the MT-07 is Yamaha's CP2 engine. This 689cc parallel twin also uses a 270-degree cross-plane design, which prior to this being the kind of new UJM engine architecture is what set the MT-07 apart from other 650 twins like the Ninja 650 and even the SV 650. This bike is putting down 74 horsepower and 50 foot-pounds of torque, which makes it approachable for many while producing enough power to not be outright boring for a beginner after a few seasons. It's really kind of a sweet spot. The MT-07 has been routinely praised for being perfectly imperfect. It's affordable, approachable, fun, peppy, and overall worth far more than the sum of its parts. If you're too cool for the Dark Side of Japan styling that makes the MT-07 look kind of like a Bionicle who's ready to steal your lunch money, there is of course the XSR 700, which is fundamentally the same motorcycle as the MT-07 in terms of its core components, although this bike is adorned in a neo-retro cafe style to appeal to the more hip demographics. The XSR 700 is arguably a better looking bike by most metrics, but it is more expensive than the MT and has been considered to be slightly less comfortable. The MT-07 has an MSRP of $8,200 and the XSR is going to run you $8,900. So we've mentioned the R6, the MT-07, so it's only natural to then segue to the R7. It might sound like I'm just listing every single motorcycle Yamaha has for sale, but like I said in the intro, Yamaha has one of those really solid rosters of bikes in their lineup, especially if you're looking for a contemporary middleweight sport or naked bike. Seriously, you just can't go wrong. The Yamaha R7 is a newer addition to Yamaha's lineup of fully fared sport bikes. Initially released for the 2022 model year, the R7 replaced the R6 in the R-bike lineup between the R3 and the R1. Although the R7 serves a drastically different purpose than the high-revving 4-cylinder 600 it replaced, the R7 was designed to satisfy the particular niche of street-oriented or street-friendly middleweight sport bikes. 600-class sport bikes like the former R6 waned in popularity as riders began to prioritize torquey twin-cylinder motors for the street, and emission regulations kind of hampered 4-cylinders anyways. And it's cheaper to build parallel twins. Look, there's a lot of reasons, okay? Torque-forward naked bikes are very very popular, but they don't satisfy the desire for those who want the balance of a fully fared committed sport bike paired with the low-down punch of a cross-plane twin engine. Aprilia had already managed to accomplish this with the RS660, and Kawasaki tried and fell a little short with the Ninja 650 despite selling countless year after year. The R7 is the first Japanese sport bike to adopt this new style of pairing a torquey twin with racing bodywork and suspension. Because the R7 is not just an MT-07 with plastics, it has improvements made to the chassis and suspension to make the R7 far more track capable than the MT-07 could ever hope to be. The R7 is a really awesome bike for the fast boy who doesn't want to wait until 8,000 RPM to really get the party started. The Yamaha R7 has an MSRP of $9,200 and I highly recommend it. Alongside the MT-07, Yamaha also sells the MT-09. Oh, the MT-09. What can we say about this bike that hasn't already been said? The MT-09 was overhauled in 2021 and now uses a potent 890cc 3-cylinder engine that produces 117 horsepower and 69 foot-pounds of torgos, which is a pretty good amount of power for the average street squid. And I will say, the MT-09 always felt like it produced about 90 foot-pounds of torque. It is one of the most torquey and rowdy motorcycles you are going to ride. Now, the MT-09 was plagued with similar problems as the MT-07 in regard to handling back in the day. This was never particularly confidence-inspiring considering this bike's twitchy throttle and propensity to wheelie with ease. It was always a little bit weird, those first-gen FZ09 MT-09s. But then Yamaha did an even bigger brain move and released this motorcycle in an SP variant, which alleviates a lot of issues that riders had with the MT-09 initially. The MT-09 SP features a fully adjustable KYB fork in the front, fully adjustable Olin suspension shock at the rear. These upgrades make the MT-09 ride like a completely different motorcycle, at least when on the side of the tire. It will still loop out on you if you're not careful. The SP model turns the MT-09 into a premium middleweight hyper-naked that can contend with any other motorcycle in the class. Since its initial release, the MT-09 has also seen improvements to the frame, which shares some of the responsibility for improvements to the previously wonky handling. This motorcycle also uses the same 6-axis IMU pulled from the R1 to manage varying stability and control systems. In addition to these technological failsafes, the MT-09 also uses a TFT dash and comes equipped with a quick shifter. Another addition to the SP variant is the inclusion of cruise control, which adds to the premium feeling. The MT-09 SP will cost you $11,500. If you saw the video we did last week highlighting motorcycles from Honda that are worth it, you know we included some out-of-production motorcycle models as well. We already did include the R6, but I'd also like to mention the WR250R. Man, I love this bike. I had one, I sold it, I deeply regret selling it, but it is what it is, whatever. Yamaha executives determined that a dual sport had no place in the dark side of Japan and discontinued the WR250R for the 2021 model year. Yet they still happily sell the dinky air-cooled farm bikes like the T-Dub and the XT250, a business move I will never understand. But just as there are plenty of use of Hondas available in tip-top shape, the same can be said for the WR, especially consider they were only discontinued a few years ago. The WR250R is a really lovable little dual sport motorcycle. It has a liquid-cooled 250cc single making 30 horsepower and 17 foot-pounds of torque, which is interestingly more horsepower than what is made by the 286cc single and the Honda CRF 300L. It's really nice and zingy. It's also incredibly lightweight at just 295 pounds. The WR in the name is in reference to its wide ratio gearbox, which provides ample responsiveness in low-speed off-road situations while also being able to easily keep up with traffic on paved roads. The WR was also sold in a Supermoto trim variant that used 17-inch wheels and street-oriented tires. Oh yeah, and unlike the DRZ, this bike is both fuel-injected and has a 6-speed transmission. The WR250R is no longer in production, but it looks like used models are available costing between $5,000 and $7,000. Again, I had one of these. I deeply regret selling it. The last motorcycle on the list today is for all the sport touring dads out there, the Yamaha FJR 1300, baby. It's got a 1298cc 4-cylinder, so it's practically a Hayabusa. The former FJR 1100 practically invented the sport touring genre back in the mid-80s, and since then it has grown and evolved into the long-lasting FJR 1300 that jean short aficionados just cannot get enough of. If I'm tasked to go on a cross-country road trip, I'll pass in the Beamer, and you better believe I'll be in the saddle of an FJR. Its massive engine is making 140 horsepower and 100 foot-pounds of torque. The FJR 1300 is every luxury you could possibly imagine, including ample luggage, adjustable ergonomic positions, and electronically adjustable suspension. suspension. Even the brakes are linked, so using one lever applies brake pressure to both front and rear. In the world of drastically inflated ADV and sport touring bikes, the FJR 1300 is a tried and true classic and a total bargain at just $18,300, but you really should buy one used because they haven't changed all that much. Thanks for making it to the end of the video. Should we do Suzuki next? I'm not sure how long I could make the video considering it would just be the Hayabusa, baby. Fact. In 2012, Austrian skydiver Felix Baumgartner broke the sound barrier during a record-breaking free-fall jump from the stratosphere at 128,100 feet. He ultimately reached top speed of 844 miles per hour. R6 boys, eat your heart out. Goodbye.
Keep watching.